All right, hey, lacrosse sports fans from Eagan and the universe. This is Ken. I got Scott to my immediate left. We are in the press box at the Shakopee Sabre High School Stadium, getting ready for the national anthem. We got Jesse on the technicals, and we are getting started here. I'm going to try to. We're in the middle of introductions right now. Wildcats being announced. So Scott, here we are. Busy. We're in the throes of a busy stretch here for the Wildcats. We just came off a big win against Lakeville North. We're in Shakopee tonight. What are you looking for?
Well, this is an interesting game. You know, we talked about starting on Monday. Everything's tough from here. This one's interesting. Shakopee has turned the corner in their program. They are a different team than they were last year, the year before that. So for our viewers out there, if you're expecting a 25-2 game, probably isn't going to happen. This is a different program. They come in 5-2. Eagan's got to do a couple things. One, they got to be aware of and be ready for their opponent. That's a far better product than in years past. Two, we know we have a big game coming Saturday night. You got to focus on the matter at hand. 48 minutes today, and get after the opponent you're playing today. These can be trap games, right? You got to focus on the opponent tonight and respect them and get the job done.
Agreed. Yeah, and when you have a big stretch coming and you've got other opponents other than these, big marquee opponents on your schedule, sometimes your eyes glance forward, and hopefully the kids in blue tonight really prevented that from happening. I mean, it's one step at a time. The schedule is laid out, so it is one game at a time. My thoughts initially right now are they played nearly their most complete game of the season against Lakeville North. It worked out in our favor, and kind of a win going away. I think the kids tonight are going to look to build on that, and I hope that they're mature enough and intelligent enough to not look past a team who is kind of an upstart. They are a better team than in years past, and we are at their stadium. So I'm hoping they get out there, get started quick, throw lots of shots at the net, and get out of here with a win.
Yeah, I mean, I think Egan's got to. We'll take a break for the anthem here, and then we'll come back and finish our pregame thoughts. All right, so we're back. We're getting close to game time. So kind of picking up where we left off. So we talked already. Egan's got to focus on the matter at hand here tonight. Face-offs. Still something we're talking about that did improve a little bit in the second half of the game. On Monday night, they'll be going up against Nick Mostrom, the senior. He has a 65% face-off win percent. So, again, a little bit of a challenge tonight that we got to overcome. We did see improvement as the game wore on. Monday night, so hopefully that continues. I think on the defensive side, if Eagan can play physical, Shakopee's got a handful of guys that can put some balls in the net. Cabe Meskovich, Ethan Mostrom, Ronnie Gunter, Sam Hallett, Nick Mostrom. I think if we can get a physical presence inside and let them know that we're there, we've got some big, strong deep holes and people on the defensive side of the ball. Make our physical presence known and bump them around a little bit. Let them know that we're there. Offensively, we got to get a lot of shots. Play a little faster. Shakopee's goalie save percent is 48-ish, 49%. Get some balls on him, right? Just a good lacrosse goalie is going to be sitting in the 60s somewhere. 55-ish is kind of average, and anything below 50 at this level, you're going to, put your team in a tough situation. So we could get a lot of shots on that if you're Eagan.
So Scott, looking at the Wildcats as we're getting ready for that first face-off, it looks like it is Pavic in the center circle going to take the first one for the Cats tonight. Getting out quick is always a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. You don't an opponent like this build that early lead, establish that dominance, and let them know you're here to win. Right? Don't give them a chance to hang around in this game. Shakopee is a club that can score some goals. Right? We got to get possession of the ball, and we get a clean face-off win. Again, Mostrom kind of showing us
big save.
65% face-off win percent there. Hopefully that'll improve for Eagan throughout the game.
Yeah, that didn't look. That was pretty clean in favor of Shakopee. But again, too, we're not shocked up here. We know that we're working our way through that aspect of our game, and we have made some accommodations as Soren Thrall gets the ball on the turf.
Ronnie Gunter has a ball. That is a dangerous player, folks. It is Ronnie's attracted some Division I interest, and you'll see why. He picked up the ball from the left side of the field and took a few strides and blew past the Eagan defenders and ripped off a solid shot and put Shakopee up 1-0. That's, again, one of a handful of players that I think Eagan's going to kind of have to spot up. We had a player like that on Monday night from Lakeville North. Number 11. Again, we've got a couple guys who, again, we got to spot up and be aware of where they are in the field because they can create all kinds of problems when they're running the field like that. Ronnie's got some good speed.
This is another one of those situations where, with the face-off issues that we've had, it's going to be a chance to see how the Wildcats respond to dropping an early goal as Wilson picks up the ball. And gets the touch and sets up for the Wildcats on the road with a team that's hungry for a win. Fancy pregame video, beautiful facility, got some talented lacrosse players. Down early, the Cats are, and with a quick shot by Stone that goes just wide right of the goaltender, Cats will retain. Can they respond? Because you are at the moment down 1-0.
Yeah, and I like the last face-off, slowed it up, got the ball pop loose. We forced a turnover, good aggressive play. Now we get a chance to get on offense and move things around. I like the first shot we took. Goalie did save it, but get some pressure on him. Force him to make some saves.
Gibson's kind of circling around. Now he's going to dip towards the net. Now behind the net. Cats are kind of spreading it out and setting it up. Yeah, there might be a definitive time as Wilson's doing his thing over on to the right of the goalie. He might have a shot here. Quick shot just to the left of the goalie. That's going to come back to the Shakopee team. Cats might be inclined to slow it down a little bit. It looked like they were getting kind of patient, which is good.
So now key for Eagan is to set up another look here on defense, try and corral some of these high-octane offensive players from Shakopee. Some pretty good numbers that they've put up through. I have stats through the first 6 games. There was a game missing, but again, when you talk about a 35-point, 24-point, 17-16, those are some nice numbers.
Shakopee slowing it down now.
Another goal. That's Ethan Mostrom, the sophomore midfielder. Again, pretty decent speed, pretty aggressive. I can see why they're putting up some goals throughout the season. They attack the net. They get after it. Looks like a little more one-on-one isolation they're trying to create. Their first goals were both of that manner. It's 2-0. Eagan's just got to settle down, get into their game. It's going to be a challenge when Shakopee's setting up in our end, so possession becomes all the more critical.
Yep, and that was the point I was about to make, that as you start to establish a little bit of a presence, that possession, and i.e. those face-offs, is Pavic really struggling to get that one, and just about did. Stone covering number 7, Nick Mostrom, getting it across midfield and working his way in. Eagan goaltender Manny Steele in the crease, looking and still looking, and kind of a lob shot right out to the middle, and
This is the kind of thing.
Big save, maybe, or maybe over the top of the net.
Over the top of the net.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a panic mode. He was starting to get that 10-second clock was ticking. He was coming out of the crease and just didn't see his field very well.
Yeah, you can't afford, I mean, really in any game, but I think this game even more so when you get possession away from Shakopee. Oh, another shot there, a ground ball, or that was Ethan Mostrom again, the sophomore.
So it's early, quarter number 1, 9:05 remaining, 3-0 already. Shakopee Sabres over our beloved Wildcats on this overcast Thursday evening. The early tilt here at Vaughn Stadium, or Vaughn Field. Back in the face-off circle, I would assume it's Pavic. Yes, it is. And again, too, these face-offs are pretty critical as the goals start to mount for the Sabres.
Another clean win, and Mostrom's just going to carry it right down the field and probably rip off a shot.
Oh, on the post.
Oh, boy, thank goodness that was about an inch away from being goal 4. We got to find a way, Ken, to combat that. If we can't contain Mostrom, we've got a whole different animal of a face-off person to deal with on Saturday against Benilde that will make this look kind of JV-ish. So we got to use tonight and kind of get this resolved, right?
Big save by Manny Steele on the real bad angle shot. Looks like Eli Domley, one of the poles, back to Soren Thrall, another one of our defenders, and that's going to go up to Wyatt Bucky. Across midfield, looking for the touch. Right to the center of the field. That looks like that's Kobe Sorensen. Things might slow down, but they're pushing the issue a little bit.
You know what? Shakopee's leaving the middle of the field open there. I think there's going to be some opportunities. There's a nice one for Damian Schultz. That's a nice blue-collar goal. There was a lot of work that needed to be done. He had a defender hanging on him and really had to work to sneak around and get that one.
Yeah, clearly. And I think, too, the more and more he made his way around the net, the less and less likely the goalie maybe even thought he was going to be able to snap off a shot. Low shot, kind of broke the seal here for the Wildcats. So it's 3-1 on Schultz's goal, 8:18 remaining. But no, I agree. There are a couple of things that we need to get the genie back in the bottle here in a couple of instances. With Pavic back in the circle again for this face-off. We'll see if it's as clean as the last couple have been.
So Damian Schultz kind of has a knack for those most people would describe as tough angle goals, and that holds true on the lacrosse field, and certainly seen a number of those goals on the hockey rink over the years as well.
Great effort by Pavic there. Meisinger came in to kind of put the stick down, and we're still on the ground and looking for it. And ground balls are important. Cats are going to get this one. That's Joey Gallus, number 11, the LSM, back across to Meisinger. And a little bit of room to run here. If the field vision's good, Wilson with a little head fake. Another one.
But look at you know how teams can have been kind of crowding the middle or interior of the field. Just watch, Shakopee's leaving it open, and I think that might leave them vulnerable to some cuts and some seam work down there. I think there's an opportunity there. We got to take care of business here.
Yeah, I'm not
on
sure
the defensive end.
I'm not sure what the turnover was. Max Meekin with the ground ball, another whistle, and I'm not sure about that. Very late push, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean Meekin had gone 20 yards upfield before it was turned over, and that was kind of the similar thing back there too. Cats were setting up. Number 11 for the Sam Hallett for the Sabres with an attempt of a shot. I believe that was Hallett still. Sabres will retain.
So it looks like when we're able to get in their way, get some presence, get a body in front of them, it looks like we can create some turnovers, right? They can get points, but there's just we didn't get the turnover, but we knocked the ball away. That was a nice play by Gallus. It looks like if we can get in their space and disrupt them and keep our bodies between them and the net, we can cause some turnovers, and I think that's going to be a key.
Okay, there's a ward called against Shakopee and a flag, probably a conduct.
Probably for the late shot there. Yeah, I would think so.
So we'll see. Let's see how this shakes down. The ward wasn't apparent. Sorensen was playing some really solid defense up top, and it looked like the ward maybe, again, I didn't quite see it, but could have been a payback. I mean, there was a couple of questionable handing over of the ball to Shakopee, but we're going to get sorted out here, maybe. We don't have our executive associate producer, Rich Mills, in the house, or I'm a little trouble on these calls. Cats are in a man-up situation. 7 minutes remaining. 3-1 Shakopee as the Cats slow it down and set it up. Colbert back up top to Stone, down low. Look, it was Meekin is out there, Whips is out there. Oh, kind of a miscue, but I think the Cats might come up with it. No, it's kicked out pretty wide, although Colbert's boxed out. No. All right, so the man-up situation is possession Shakopee, but I don't know if they're going to get it out. Now, did they get it across? And they did now.
Yep, they did. Timeout Shakopee.
Yeah, clearly not a bad idea. I'm going to say I'm not exactly sure. I don't think so.
Oh, I thought Shakopee. Okay, I
did
couldn't.
too. Wildcats ball. We're under 7 here. 3-1 Cats. Jack Stone up top. Got out of his stick, but he was able to recover. Kind of lost his footing. He's getting kind of assaulted. Oh, he might have come up with it. Whips with a backhand shot. That's going to be Cats ball, I believe.
Yeah, that's a shot. Yep, absolutely.
All right, Schultz will get us started again here.
So there.
But a little bit of a miscue there. Schultz to Gibson. Donley trying to keep up with number 2, Masevich, as the Sabres may have just turned it over.
I think so. So again, we're forcing the turnovers, and that's good. And we're down by 2. I think you got to just relax, get back to your game plan, understand defensively. You can force them into making turnovers. We just can't allow them to make those quick moves and get around us because they've got a couple guys that can shoot. So, boy, we're a little less than sharp here. But again, another thing too, it's a little chilly out, right? It's probably 50 degrees, maybe a little bit below that. There's a pretty healthy wind. The flags are blowing pretty strongly. So, it takes maybe a little time to get warmed up and get everything working.
Well, I think too. I think one part of it is I think this is actually and rightfully so. Particularly where we're at in the season, this is a big game for Eagan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Not exactly a statement game, but not one that you don't want anybody from Lax Hub tuning in and seeing that we're down decidedly at any given point. We should be playing this game kind of our speed. So the miscues aren't helping. The forced turnovers are helping.
Right.
We just focus on the basics, catch, pass, et cetera, and I think things will work themselves out. So Shakopee with the ball, moving it up across midfield. Max Meekin marked up with the ball carrier. Looks like that's Billy Diffley, who's doing some defending at the moment as the Cats set up. Sun's coming out here at Vaughn Field.
That's Ronnie Gunther again. You talk about that's a Division I play. 3 steps acceleration and a shot, and we really didn't have a chance. I don't know how you in a 6v6 situation defend that, but there's got to be some schematics to say, okay, this player is kind of having his will on us right now.
Well, the Sabre gained a step on the midi, covering him, and once he gets that step, he's got a shooting lane, and he's apparently got a pretty good shot.
Yeah, he's got
that ball went from the stick to the back of the net in a hurry. You're going to have to put gloves on this kid, and that's about all there is to that.
Yeah, Ronnie, he's got a good first step. He's probably got a quicker first step, and then the stride. If you see the stride, the way he covers a lot of field, it requires a body. It really does. It requires a body on him.
I think that's maybe the missing piece right now is you can go step for step with these guys, but if you're going to give them the shot, then that's not unlike what just occurred now.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the shot was well off the mark, but someone's got to get up on these guys and see how deeply these flags are in these referees' pockets. And one way to find out.
Yeah, I think in a game like this with some of these type players, you have to find out. You have to push the limit a little bit and see what you can get away with. And if you get a 30-second penalty, you get a 30-second penalty.
Then you know where you're at.
Yep.
I do think, though, if there's a little more of this unabated shot thing, I can think of a few guys in blue that are just going to put a glove on someone and see exactly, because it's got to be a physical game. Nice forced turnover by Eagan. Soren Thrall picked up the ground ball, looks up high. That's Wyatt Bucky, who ran into someone, picked up his own and dropped it again. Tenacious defense by the Sabres around the midfield stripe. Shakopee does recover, but then there's Damian Schultz with a nice kind of two-handed check, kind of slowed that pass down. Sabres are setting up. We're at the 3-minute mark. 3-1, 4-1 Shakopee, my bad. Shot high and wide. Going to maintain possession for Shakopee.
So again, Shakopee's one of the things, we haven't touched on their keys of the game, but win possession time. If you keep the ball away from Eagan, that's a win in of itself. And then if you can get some shots, I think that's what teams are seeing if they watch tape. It's like you can't let Eagan have the ball because there's guys that can score. There's a handful, lots of guys that can score, and they're going to put balls in the net. So you got to devise game plan and say, how do we keep the ball away from them or mitigate when they have the ball?
If they look a little efficient right now, Eagan is in a man-down situation. Again, we're not really getting the calls. Looks like Schultz, I believe, is on the sideline. Big save,
nice
by
Steele.
Yeah. Now let's see if the Cats, as Steele dumps up to Gallus, and the Cats got the presence of mind to start kind of perimetizing this and playing catch, although been a few unforced errors as Meakin kind of scoops the disconnected pass and now making a little break, but he's going to get the touch and then probably just slow it down and try to get this penalty killed off.
Yeah, you're in a man down, and we talk about this quite a bit. A man down, be smart, possess the ball, kill time, just wait for your guy to come back, unless the opponent gives you the scoring opportunity of all scoring opportunities.
Yeah, there has just been a lot of there has been an awful lot of errant passes as the penalty is just about over, I would assume. Trying to get this straightened out here. Looks like we're back at full strength, but clearly you could count on more than one hand how many times a pass just didn't connect, whether it was sender error or receiver error, and it doesn't really matter who you're playing. That just doesn't fly.
Yeah. Number 7, Nick Mostrom with the ball. So this is interesting. Although he is walking off the field now, he's their face-off specialist. He actually spends a fair amount of time on the field, so he's a midi but also a face-off specialist. Sometimes at this level you see the face-off specialist come on just to do the face-offs, but Mostrom's a player that can do both things. We got a flag down.
And that's a situation. If it's from that, well, clearly it's not against Eagan.
No.
There was a clear shot that was about ready to happen, and someone put a body on someone, and the ball came loose.
Yeah,
that is the direction I think they're going to go when they talk about it at the quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And in
1 minute.
in that man down situation, that Shakopee that we had against Shakopee, Ronnie Gunter took a shot. We had a body in front of him, and it was just enough to slow down that release and that speed. And Steele was able to make the save, so that's going to be critical as we move forward.
And it's
game.
one thing to get your body in space in a way that maybe disrupts the shot. We need to kind of get a few of the cleats. Thank you. Jesse comes over and our technical guy brings my guess is he got a text from afar saying, "Update the score, guys."
Yeah.
What's the score?
So we've been I'm going to make an excuse here for us, Ken. We've been
working with
in the fine hands of ETV, and they're pretty much doing everything for us
really
except for talking. And now we actually have to kind of keep track of a couple of things.
We'll take care of you folks at home, and if we don't, clearly Jesse will. So thank you, Jesse, and thank you to our caller who texted the box here and said, "Hey, can you get these guys to zip it long enough with 35 seconds to go quarter one?" But back to that conversation, it's one thing, as Stone lets one rip, it's one thing to disrupt the rhythm and the shot by being in the right place at the right time. There's a physical aspect of the game that the Cats want to try to introduce, and I think we're going to see that in quarter two as Colbert's trying to work it in, throws her behind the net to Schultz. We're under 20 seconds, kind of critical now, and I think it's going to go Shakopee's way. 12 seconds remaining, 4-1 Sabres. Vaughn Field, this overcast Thursday early tilt, boys lacrosse.
They don't appear to be in any great hurry.
No, they do not. And if the ball hits the turf, and it won't as the final seconds tick off, 4-1 Sabres.
Hey, they're thrilled with the result, and that's why they were in no hurry to rush the ball down the field. They're content with what happened, and they played a good first quarter.
So quarter one in the books. Clearly, the Sabres put it in the net 4 times to the 1 time of the Cats. The Sabres look at what they did in quarter one, and they make changes. And if they do, Scott, what are they going to try to do?
The Wildcats have to, what we've been talking about, that physical presence on defense. They have to get that when they've been getting it. They're forcing turnovers or forcing errant shots. Every person, every possession, every ball has to be contested man up, in the face, be physical, be aggressive. Offensively, just a little, maybe things aren't clicking very well right now. You see, like you mentioned, some drop balls, some errant passes. Just got to kind of get in the flow and get in the game. Not a lot of shots. We were kind of, pregame we were like, oh, if the goalie's save percentage is 50 and we can fire 30 shots at him, we're probably good. We haven't quite gotten to that. I think we maybe had 2 or 3 or 4 shots, if even that, and aside from the goal, they weren't of high quality. So we got to get back in that facet and say, let's get our offensive rhythm going, and let's get some quality shots in this guy. Shakopee's not plugging up the middle so much. We got to take advantage of that.
We've done it before. That's one thing that we've talked about is how effective we are when we're looking for guys in blue around the crease, in front of the net. A lot can happen, and it can happen quickly. Our passing, although tonight not 1,000% clicking, when it is, we can make those plays from the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, a feature that we do on when we're doing the broadcast ourselves, text questions to the box to Ken and I. We'll put that number up on the screen, 651-235-2718. Questions about the game, about Wildcats lacrosse in general. Feel free to text in those questions, and we'll do our best to provide a reasonable answer to you.
You can, I've been told in hearsay that Scott was working on his life coach certification. So if you're, have something away from the game that you're curious about, maybe we can help you as well. So quarter number 2, just about getting ready to be underway. Looks like it remains 4-1 Sabres here at Vaughn Field. The sun has tucked itself back in, and it looks like it's going to be the Sabres ball to get things rolling.
So time to come out and make a stand here, make a statement. Shakopee got off to a quick lead. Certainly not insurmountable by any means. There again, just enough of a contested shot. I think that was Miser, and he just got stick on stick. It was just enough to contest the shot. It's little things like that can make a big difference and slow down some of these top scorers.
Well, that was clearly he had a great look, and had Meisinger not gotten himself in there, that could have been on goal and could have been quite a rip.
Topside shot there, just was able to sneak around. Got a step on the Eagan defender. That was Sam Hallett, I believe. Yep, number 11, the senior midi. So he's a guy who came in with 13 goals on the year. Again, coaches talk about on the defensive side of the ball. Number 1 rule, don't let a guy get topside on you, because it opens up a shooting lane that gives the shooter a pretty good look to the goal, and it makes a difficult save for the goalie. So preventing, whether it's Hallett, whether it's Mostrom or Gunter, not letting those guys get topside and getting those good scoring opportunities.
Looks like we've got Pavic still on the ground in the middle. Comes up with 1 for the Cats.
That's a nice win for Pavic.
It really is, and it's certainly our first win, I believe, of the night, as Colbert throws it behind the net to Schultz. You got to start somewhere. Cats down 5-1, 11-11 remaining, quarter number 2. Got the text the box number up on your screen, as is the updated score. And we'll see if the Cats don't slow it down and just start piecemeal this back together. You can't score all 4 at once. But again, you can try to do too much. And that was a pass that covered that, one of those diagonal passes through a lot of traffic as Meekin reels it back in. But the boys just need to understand that you're not going to get a 4-point goal. Just take it easy.
Nope. It almost feels like, when we talked about the game Monday night, like the Cats kind of were starting to get their rhythm. They played a complete game. There's a nice shot there. Again, the interior was open. Yeah. Nice feed. I didn't see who that was from, but Drew Wilson connected on the goal. From Whips. The interior was open. Drew caught it. Pretty simple finish there, right? Not to discount away from his effort, but there was no one on him, and he had a shooting lane. So, again, I think if they're going to give us those openings, we got to exploit them. And what I was saying before the goal, it felt like the Cats were getting into a rhythm, particularly in the 4th quarter Monday night. Probably their best quarter of the year. Not probably, I think it was.
Clearly.
They were establishing that rhythm and things were coming together, and it feels a little disrupted right now, offensively, right?
I would agree, yeah. I mean, and that disruption is kind of manifesting itself in how we're, connecting on passes and so on and so forth. Turnover here, Cats will take over. So you look at that last exchange as the Cats, that's Gibson up top working it in. A one face-off, a miscue.
Yep.
Johnny on the spot. Max Meekin picks up the ball, feeds Whips, who starts looking for a shot as we're working inside. Kind of a little bit of a miscue there as the Sabres are covering ground quickly, but the Cats are back on defense. And Whips' shot kind of dissolves. He finds a man inside, shot, score. There's Whips right there putting a stick on someone. And Meisinger and Gibson.
Got to pick that
That's
up.
actually Stone.
Big ground ball pick up there to disrupt Shakopee's possession.
Absolutely. And Stone's covering ground quickly. He's looking for someone, finds the shot, and going to turn it over. That was happening pretty quickly. Probably was a pretty quality shot. It's unfortunate as we're back there kind of harassing. I think that might be Colbert that's kind of hacking away and trying to get one last lick, and they're trying to keep him. And there's a turnover, it looks like.
There we go. Nice work. Nice work in the midfield, forcing a turnover, and the Wildcats are running the other way.
Max Meekin with a shot, and that one's going to hold, I think, for the Blue, just barely. But it looks like Schultz is going to get us started. Again, too, there's a couple of philosophies at work here. Find quality shots or get shots. And right now, they're going kind of right in the middle.
Yep.
These are decent shots, but you have to put shots on goal. Particularly, we talked earlier, the guy's vulnerable.
Yeah, he is. I don't feel like we've really threatened him in a big-time way yet. I think that comes. When we do, I think we can get a series of goals and work our way back in this game.
5-2 Cats, 9 minutes remaining. Vaughn Field, shot, score. I'm going to go with Schultz.
Yep.
Possibly on that from
Colbert, I believe. If they give him the assist, they should.
Yep.
There was one step there.
Yeah, clearly. So it's 5-3 Cats as we get a visitor almost in the box to help us with some housekeeping. 8:54 remaining here at Vaughn Field. The lights are on, folks. The sun has dipped away one final time, and the Cats, I think, are going to very innocuously climb themselves back in the game. And if the Sabres blink, or if they keep their foot a little bit less than firmly on the pedal, they're going to be staring at a one-goal deficit.
Yep.
And then we saw what happened in the games we played this year. We finished strong. Our third quarter, sometimes it was a little shaky against Eastridge, I believe, or maybe that was our second quarter, but we finished strong against Lakeville North. We were hitting on all cylinders. We looked like the team that we believe we are. Donley on the man up behind, and there's almost that shot that's going to, and then in comes, he had help from number 22. That was not number 22.
Two. It was two on the goal of Cave Meskovich.
I'm trying to see. We had some help come in to help Donley out with that, but another situation where you can be marked up, you can be crowding that man's space. If you're not physically in touch with him.
Again, not a topside goal in the truest sense of the definition, but that same shooting lane, those are difficult for the goalies to see and stop, and he got to that space and rifled it in. Just got to continue to get bodies in there.
All right, 6-3 Sabres here at Vaughn Field, 8:30 remaining second quarter. It's been kind of a back-and-forth affair, clearly not mathematically back and forth as the Cats are down 6-3. Not a real clean face-off, but it looks like the Cats are trying. Boy, ground ball central. Gallus throws it up to himself. Looks like Donley back to Steele, and the Cats are going to set up and try to clear. Steele to Merwin, going to take the midline, looking, and finds Wilson down low, and the Cats will slow it down. But from a back-and-forth point of view, hey, folks, it's our turn. Wilson working the sideline, really leaving cleats behind as he's dipping and weaving, looking, and again, still looking.
There.
These guys are dizzy as Whips takes a shot. Wilson's going to be, Schultz back there to maintain possession. Will get us started. Again, we talk about shots. Get shots on net.
Yep.
We've also had luck even tonight finding the ball inside. So as Gibson makes a couple moves here and sets up, We'll see if we can't try to exploit that inside again. The perimeter shots, they'll go. Big shot by Gibson, and looks like the Cats will maintain again.
It feels like the little maybe a little too far outside there from some of those shots. I get it. We've talked about pouring shots on the goal, but there's space in the middle to work.
We have to make sure that that's not there too sometimes. And I know Schultz. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's gonna go. I think that's gonna go Blues way.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not exactly sure. It looks like there was maybe a push, Stone looking, and kind of a dangerous pass, a tip, and Wilson with a shot. Schultz didn't have to just get his stick out. He picked it up, plays it back up front to Wilson, to the goalie's left, or pardon me, right. Big save. Wilson's going to get his own rebound.
Follow your shot, right?
Yep, and try to set up. He's got Sorensen up top, to which he throws the ball. Sorensen looking, trying to create space. I see a inside shot coming. Oh, a big save.
Oh, big save by Shakopee's goalie. Yeah, that I like that play. I like that setup. Pretty good scoring opportunity there.
Perfect. Here we go.
Force a turnover, and it looks like Wilson's got it back.
Don't get panicky.
Smart Martin. If he took a couple looks.
Oh boy, that was a dangerous pass there.
Oh yeah.
I think he got hung up in his stick a little bit.
A little flip pass, meaning to just reset. So good decisions by Wilson. He was looking. Didn't have the passing lane he wanted. Didn't have the look. Come out, reset, start it again.
6:15 remaining second quarter. 6-3 Sabres. Another rebound that going to come up blue. Gibson scoops the ground ball, looking cross middle to Sorensen, who dips and drops it as he goes through. He gets stick checked a little bit. Sabres going to come up with it, but we got a whistle, and it's going to be Shakopee on the possession, I believe. Flag down, actually.
Yeah, penalty on the Sabres, I think.
Looks 2 minutes slash.
Okay.
1 minute slash.
1 minute.
Pardon me. 23.
That is Zach Youngvorst, senior.
And a little, possibly a stoppage of play in the form of a timeout, I believe. 5:51 remaining second quarter. 6-3 Sabres. We've seen more rhythm a little bit out of the Wildcats, and it looks like they've decided to possess the ball a little bit more. Some of those unforced errors have kind of gone by the wayside. Now it's just been more more minor miscues. And we've actually, Lady Luck's been with us.
Right.
And we've picked up a few of those, errant passes and things like that.
Yeah. It feels like we're a little bit more sense of urgency, on the offensive side, racing to the balls. And you're right, Ken. Fewer unforced errors are helping, and now you just got one goal at a time. Climb back into the game. And you mentioned earlier, Ken, you can't get 4 goals at once, so don't just one at a time.
So clearly, at this point, you start to say to yourselves, who's more proficient in executing the game plan based on where they're at? The Sabres are up 6-3. Are they as proficient managing a 3-goal lead as the Cats are finding their footing? Clearly, if we were playing on all cylinders, think we would instantly climb ourselves back into this game. So can the Sabres hold us off with their 6-3 lead, get us through halftime, keep it reasonable, kind of fend us off, maybe add to their lead? Are they proficient in that role, or are the Cats more comfortable slowly finding their footing and making their way back into this contest?
I think the Cats are wow. Ooh, we talked about some of those unforced errors going away, and then one just sneaks back at an inopportune time.
Sabres.
I think Eagan's demonstrated throughout the year they can play from behind and get back in the games. The only concern right now is there's a lot of time left, but as this lead holds, Shakopee can kind of open up and take some chances offensively and maybe take some shots they weren't otherwise going to take, and they can play a little more loose. And the pressure's on Eagan right now.
Clearly, and let's remember too, there's still that issue of the face-off. So when goals are scored, we're about we're a 1-3 to come up with it at this point. Now something could change, of course.
Yep, and we saw Eagan played from behind in the both the North game, the South game. Also in the Eastridge game, they didn't end up winning that game, but they did come back and get it within 1 goal. So they can play from behind. I don't see panic yet at all. and there's no need for it.
Right.
But just smart lacrosse. There's 29.5 minutes left in the game, and it's a 3-goal difference right now. We just got to, you don't want this thing to stretch into a 4 or 5 or a 6-goal cushion, because that can be a little more of an uphill climb.
Well, and again, too, you bring up a really valid point, which kind of dovetails with who's more comfortable in their given role. The Sabres having a pretty powerful and well-equipped team down by 3, or the Cats, who have played from behind on a couple of occasions this season. I think advantage, regardless of what the scoreboard says, as far as that goes, advantage Cats working their way back into this game. 5:34 remaining, 6-3 Cats as the Sabres start play here. He's going to be literally mugged out of bounds. Line, no timeout. You almost kind of figured they might try to burn another one.
Right.
Could not do it.
Yeah, that was odd. He ran right into 3 Wildcat defenders, and it didn't look like an overly fast and agile player, but it's like he didn't even make an attempt to.
No.
He thought he was just going to lower his shoulder and go through him, and that wasn't happening,
No.
right?
Okay, so again, last time we were down here, there was some kind of unusual. Just some of the passes just aren't super crisp. Don't know if it's the lights or the dust, but looks like it's going to wind up being back in the hands of the Sabres as they bring it across. They gain the midfield line. Number 6, Mostrom behind the net. Oh.
Boy, again, Dolny getting there just in the nick of time to disrupt the shot. It was that little disruption makes all the difference in the world.
Well, yeah, too. You had good pole play on that entire exchange. I mean, number 6 for the Sabres had a guy in his kidneys, and then Dolny steps in just in the nick of time to disrupt the reception of the pass and make sure that it wasn't a quality shot.
And I think defensively we've got, between Merwin, Dolny, Thrall, those are some strong boys, right? We can probably throw our weight around a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised at a big save by Steele as he's looking for an outlet. He finds Dolny, and Dolny's going to go back to Steele, and Steele's going to look a little further downfield. Goes back up to Dolny. They're playing their own little personal game of catch as we get the midline. Dolny looking, and he'll go down low. I believe it's going to be Wilson, and the Cats will set up 6-3 Sabres, 3:43 remaining first half. Kind of a couple of tenuous exchanges as Whips comes in with a shot and a score. A little bounce pass at the foot of the goalie, number 12, Brossum. We've got some...
And we're understanding we have some sound issues.
We're not technical. We'll turn this up and see what happens.
Yeah, we're working on correcting these sound issues.
So we just, the Wildcats just scored 6-4, 3:35 remaining. First half. Whips on the goal.
Right there. That's right there. Oh, it was okay, all right.
A master. All right, we may have fixed it.
I'm going to...
Pavic on the ground in the center.
Is that okay? Sorry, folks. We're still playing around with our sound a little bit.
We are. We're working on it. So the Sabres with the face-off win. We don't recall how clean it was. We were looking down at the control board. Number 2, Maskovic behind the net. Dolny covering, and that ball almost hit the ground. I thought that was coming out. They passed it up top.
Hey, if somebody could let us know that just that you can hear us better. We think we've fixed our sound issues, but until we get a confirmation, we don't know that for sure. They said, okay, all right. They said it's good.
Our technical guy, Jesse, took care of it.
Good. Thanks, everyone. Well, it seems that Shakopee has an answer. Every time Eagan pulls close, Shakopee has an answer. Getting a little bit of an uncontested shot there. Gave the Shakopee player plenty of room to shoot, and whipped it in the net.
7-4 Sabres, 2:48 remaining. Shakopee moving the ball around somewhat effortlessly, got it up in the slot high. probably need to tighten a few things up.
Yeah, and I'm guessing Shakopee's game plan was probably get out, get a lead. So earlier in the season, when they played Lakeville North, who they ended up losing to by a goal, 11-10, they were down 9-3 at halftime. And from all accounts of the game, they just started slow, weren't in rhythm, spotted North a 9-3 lead, managed to climb back and almost tie the game. But I'm sure the message of the coach was like, listen, guys, we can't afford a 9-3 deficit at halftime and have to fight our way back. Let's go out there and get the lead for ourselves. And they've executed that. They got those 3 quick first goals, and they kind of are maintaining that cushion.
Shakopee with the ball. 2:24 remaining, 7-4. Ball hits the turf. Only marked up on number 2, Maskovic. Ball hits Gallus in the helmet or the back. There's a little bit of a physical push inside. And again, I think that's going to have to be part of the game plan moving forward.
Again, that was 11. We've been calling his number quite a bit. That's Sam Hallett. He just was able to work his way around the defender. And is that his second or his third goal tonight? It might be his third. I know it's his second for sure. Just under 2 minutes remaining. 8-4 Sabres. Again, you know, it's a game that I think the Sabres are very comfortable in how they've executed thus far. Yep.
You know, they've got the number 7 team in the state, I believe, down 8-4, approaching halftime. And their game plan has probably been try to keep the ball out of their hands.
Absolutely.
Be opportunists and get your shots in. And they've got guys that can score. So, you know, mission accomplished quarter number 1 and 2 as Pavic's in the circle trying to prevent another fairly clean face-off win for the Sabres. Meisinger kind of causing some problems there, and he's quick. He can gain ground, and he'll be back nearly side to side with the Sabre while he gets the touch shortly here. Donley marked up behind the net, and this is kind of how that last goal set up.
Mm-hmm. They're all worked. Again, he'd worked his way open. They just couldn't get the shot off. So, you know, again, opportunity to have time to make some, you know, adjustments and see what we can do here. A 4-goal deficit right now. Big possession here. Eagan needs to stop.
Big save by Steele on a pretty quality shot. Thrall looking, kind of tosses it out there. Looks like it hit the turf. Sorensen almost brought it down. Nice push, and we're at 1:13 remaining, and does it appear to be a Sabre timeout?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Mm-hmm. So we're moving close to halftime here, and the adjustments, I think we've talked about some of them. I think that they're going to have to introduce a little bit of a physicality to the defensive play simply because, you know, being marked up with someone that's got a, you know, fairly rockety type shot, you know, the goalies are seeing the ball, but they are getting some of these in somewhat uncontested. So we're going to clearly need to get add another dimension of defense to what's going on. So, and then again, too, possession. The Cats have chosen some nice shots. Like to see them work it inside in the second half. And we'll get a chance to come out of this timeout and grind out this last minute 13 and then take a break for halftime and see how the Cats respond to being down by 4 to Shakopee Sabres.
You know, what it looks like is happening, and, you know, aside from K. Maskovic, you don't see a lot of Shakopee players with assists. And when I was looking through some notes for the game, like, that's kind of interesting. You know, there's not a lot of assists, particularly by some of these middies. When I'm watching them play, it's not about ball movement and passing to set up goals. It's about getting a player the ball and letting him go one-on-one and try to make something happen. You know, some of these guys we've talked about, Ronnie Gunter, coming into the game, 12 goals, no assists. Sam Hallett, 13 goals, no assists. You know, you contrast that with some on Eagan's side, and their stats. You know, Jack Stone, 16 goals, 16 assists. Right, Cole Gibson, 10 goals, 3 assists. Tanner, right? You see those middies involved in the ball movement, and it was interesting. I'm like, oh, I wonder how this is going to play out. And what you see is get the ball to Hallett, get the ball to Gunter, isolate them, let them go one-on-one and see what happens.
All right.
Which,
Go ahead.
I think in some respects that might be easier to defend.
Yeah, no, that's
right?
a great observation that these guys are choosing to get the ball to someone who can create space or find a great shooting lane, whereas we've connected for the vast majority of our goals this season.
Again, and it's working for them. It's just a different approach to the game, and maybe it works for their personnel, the type of athletes and players they are.
We're just under 1 minute here, quarter number 2, 8-4 Sabres at Vaughn Field. This early tilt here in Shakopee for the boys lacrosse. Got Cody Rader marked up behind the net. And it looks like the Shakopee team is going to look for a nice save. Thrall and Steele kind of working jointly on clearing pass. Meisinger got his own
Nice.
rebound. 20
Nice
seconds remaining. Stone to Schultz on the doorstep.
Just couldn't quite get a handle on
Crease
it.
violation, it looks like. So 16-5, great scoring opportunity. Just a teeny tiny little inability to connect. Big save.
Yeah, that was a nice save there.
Yeah, because the change of direction created an entirely different shooting angle. So with just under 5 seconds remaining, Shakopee's probably going to try to get one last shot. Not going to happen.
All right, well, Shakopee's executed their game plan pretty well. They've opportunistic. They're taking advantage of what Eagan gives them, and they're able to get those balls to their middies and their top scorers and isolate them, and they're making things happen. How does Shakopee respond to carrying a 4-goal lead into halftime? On the Wildcat side, what do we do defensively to manage and mitigate this? And how do we get our flow back on offense? We're not, again, the second quarter, we didn't spend too much time in our zone. It felt like one of those quarters where we, the Eastridge second, third quarter, whatever it was, the South second quarter. Yep. It kind of felt like we were back to that. There was either Farmington or Burnsville, we had a quarter where we sort of vanished, right, for some reason. And got to get behind. You got to get that behind you. You got to get possession, establish your rhythm, and get going. And we looked like we were close. And we pulled within, 6-4, and that's as close as we've gotten.
Well, and again, too, we've talked all season long about how seemingly every time we roll into a stadium or someone visits Wildcat Stadium, they seem to have kind of taken a cape and kind of anointed their goaltender for the day, some sort of superhero. And tonight, not necessarily the exception. If this goalie looks exceptionally well tonight, it's the shots that we're taking. We haven't pressed this kid, and I think that's going to be part of the halftime discussion. Make this kid earn his kibble, and then also defensively, and then just, guys, clean it up out there.
Yeah.
There's just, right in that last exchange, the normally absolutely sure-handed Tommy Meisinger kind of just dropped a real routine clearing pass.
Yep.
And it isn't just that one or two of those is going to make or break you. There's been multiple tonight from a variety of players.
Yep,
so clean it up, Wildcats. Make the goaltender, earn his pay, and then get physical with these Sabres, and we'll see how this half number 2 starts out here shortly. With that, I suppose we're going to hang it up for a few minutes, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's 8-4 Sabres at Vaughn Field over our beloved Wildcats on this early tilt Thursday lacrosse. We're coming back at you. Thank you. Let's go back on. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, 52 seconds remaining in this halftime break for the Wildcats and the Sabres here. This is Ken. I got Scott to my left, Jesse to my right, running the electronics. It's 8-4 Sabres here at Vaughn Field. The early tilt on this Thursday. We're at Shakopee, in Shakopee, Minnesota here, playing the Sabres tonight. Scott, game plans executed in the first half of this contest, and the Sabres probably have a lot more to write home about as far as theirs is concerned.
Yeah, the Sabres did the three things: win possession time, keep the ball away from Eagan, check; goaltending, check; control faceoffs, check. Eagan, not so good on faceoffs. A little trouble defensively. Play fast offensively, get lots of shots. It just something wasn't flowing right. So, hey, we've got 24 minutes to go. It's a new half. Goals can come fast and aplenty in lacrosse. So, wipe the slate clean, one goal at a time, jump back in the game. The Wildcats have played from behind before. We mentioned earlier in the game. They can again. They just, got to get some things in sync, right? And I think there's an ability to score an abundance of goals here and not only climb back into this game but get a lead. So we'll have to see what can happen here. Big half for the Wildcats, and I'm really curious to see how they now respond. Again, we've got that game looming Saturday against Benilde. How do you focus on this half and treat this half as being bigger than the game Saturday, which at this point it might almost be?
Possession, yeah, clearly, since we're not playing, a team the caliber of Benilde St. Margaret. So possession Sabres as quarter number 3, kind of a tenacious exchange in the middle there. Probably a little goaltending change for the Wildcats. That's number 1, Zach Wallach between the posts, assuming the duties on goaltending for the Wildcats. The Sabres do maintain possession, get it up top.
So again, a nice when you come into the game at halftime. Good to get a good stop, right, of any kind, just to get a feel for the shot. And again, we've seen this throughout the year. There's been games where each goalie plays the full way. There's been games where they split. So
Jack Stone kind of made the little as a forced error by Stone as he's running into a host of Sabres over there, and I lost the ball. Looks like Wallach quickly up to Meakin. A couple of nice passes. Meakin takes the midline. He's fast. He's got room to run, and he's going to go get that touch quickly as he turns the corner behind the net. And again, push, shot, save, and
the flag comes out.
Yeah.
Yep, waited, drew the penalty there.
Yeah, he clearly knew, I think, as soon as he was going down that penalty flag was coming out. So he took that kind of shovel shot, which was not a real challenging shot, but the Cats should go man up here. Probably on a trip or something, I would assume.
Yeah, and at that point, he gotten around the defender, the Sabre defender, and got pushed, got tripped, whatever the call's going to end up being. It's like, hey, why not? Give it a try. All right, so in the previous man up, I think the Wildcats lost possession. So, good stop there. It's going to go to boy. Got to want to take advantage of these man-up situations, and for the at least so far, the Wildcats, won a turnover, and they're just a shot. And we couldn't quite get to the end line there. So Shakopee's going to throw it around and try and kill a little time here, and they're going to turn the ball over.
Yeah, nice turnover, which is helpful. So let's see if the Cats can capitalize. 8-4 Sabres over the Wildcats here at Vaughn Field. 10:18 remaining. Third quarter. The game is effectively well within reach for both teams. I mean, the Sabres can pull out a little bit and create some space on the scoreboard and get comfortable as Whips fires a shot. Didn't make it through. Nice little save. I'm not sure if the goaltender knew that he made that save as he tries to clear into traffic. And Sabres are going to take the midline here. But also, too, for the Wildcats, they're down by 4 early in the second half, and there's a nice unforced error. If Gallus can recover, and he does, he'll get the midline, and he's actually being harassed pretty emphatically. He gets it off to Stone, who gets the touch and takes it back up to Colbert. So both teams can invoke their game plan for the second half and see where it takes us. I see the Cats getting a little comfortable, get rid of those unforced errors, and try to climb back in this one quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think about those unforced errors in the first half. If you can eliminate half of them, you're never going to eliminate all of them. It's not realistic. If you can eliminate half of them, probably not a 4-goal game. Maybe a 2-goal game, maybe a 1-goal game. Work the game plan, do what you need to do, take advantage of what the Shakopee defense is giving you. And I'll be honest, the lack of scoring from Eagan this far, I would not attribute that to the defensive scheme or what Shakopee's doing. I think Eagan's kind of creating their own issues with some of the unforced turnovers.
There's a flag.
Yeah, Drew Wilson kind of got mugged.
Trying to get the call. You can hear a little disapproval from the Shakopee contingent, and maybe rightfully so. I mean, it's a physical game. I think a lot of the aficionados in the bleachers would prefer to see, and they'd see that as strong defense. It was a strong defensive play as far as where the defender had his body in space. According to the referee, it was a little bit too physical.
To me, it was the shot to the back. I mean, it was a stick to the back. The player was kind of in we aren't in a position where we can hear what's called or see the signals, but it's a little bit of an indefensible position, and it's like, you don't want to be doing that. Somebody could get hurt.
And again, too, kind of an errant pass, not quite done yet. It's on the ground. Probably going to be a push, and looks like the Sabres are going to come up with it. Maybe Cats have it. Looks like Schultz is breaking out. He's looking and looking. Big shot. Cats will maintain. So again, too, it's almost like we're pressing a little bit because there are some passes that are going through some pretty populated parts of the field, and the Cats just need to kind of see what they can do. Big point-blank save, going to be maintained possession by the Wildcats. 8:14 remaining, 8-4.
Weston Brosum is the goalie. He's an 8th grader. Boy, we
lucky break for the Cats.
Yeah, we need to start getting some pressure on this young man and get some goals in the back of the net. But we're turning the ball over a little bit and giving Shakopee room to breathe.
Well, we turned it over, got lucky and regained possession on a turnover, and then we turned it over again. So again, we really haven't eliminated. I'm not sure. Is that did they not get their touch? I don't know how.
I think that must have been it. The Shakopee fans in front of us are voicing their displeasure again. Oh.
Sabres with the ball here, and again, it might be a little bit of a payback. I'm not sure how vocal these guys were, but they clearly got through to that referee. And Soren Thrall trying not to let number 2 turn the corner. He's doing everything in his power. Little help from Donley, and how he's able to hang on to that ball as Donley comes up with that little dump back to Wallach, who's looking. He'll find Wyatt Bucky. We got a player down.
Well, looks like he's going to pop back up and play will resume here. Yeah,
number,
nice. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
No, I was going to say number 2, Maskovic, on the turf, but he got up no problem. So probably just got knocked down and a little frustrated because he worked his buns off down there, and he just kept getting pummeled until that ball came out.
He did, yeah.
So.
That was both Dolney and Thrall had size on him, and they kind of let him have it, right? And they got in there and really let him have it and forced that turnover. And that's the kind of thing we need to see more of, right?
All right, looks like the Cats are going to be out near the alley. Meekin's going to toss it back to Thrall, who's looking. He's got some pressure, so he'll go back to Wallach and let the Wallach kind of quarterback this as he's going to come out across the 40. He might take the midline himself. He does not. He passes it kind of laterally to Whips, who kind of does whip around one of the Shakopee defenders, and he's trying to get a look at the goal shot and score.
Okay, good shot.
Number 22, Tanner Whips, with what I believe is the first goal of the second half. 8-5 Sabres, 6:52.
So,
thank you.
Now you have to prevent an answer from Shakopee, right? Because I think as the Wildcats have put goals on the board, Shakopee's answered pretty quickly thereafter in every situation.
Yeah, I would agree.
And not let Eagan draw. Within Eagan, I think has been within 2, but they've never let them draw closer. You need to get a strain of goals, and to try and get this thing within 1 or tied up at the end of the quarter would be certainly helpful headed into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, 1 goal does not a momentum shift make. So you want to do a little bit more than score a goal. Is there a fairly clean win for Shakopee? That was Pavic in the middle as the Sabres number 7 Mostrom sets up.
Yeah, there's the answer.
Yeah, and again, too, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. By the time number 9, was that number 9 or number 8?
That was number 9,
Linus Toward.
an 8th grader.
By the time he gets the shot, he's turning to shoot. As the defender collapses, either you take him out physically within the confines of a defensive move, or you just wait and see if your goaltender can get a line on the shot. So these uncontested shots, I think, are clearly what the Wildcats need to work on. 9-5 Sabres. Again, we talked about preventing an answer from Shakopee, and then we see one.
Yeah, within 30 seconds,
yeah,
right?
6:34 remaining. So, you know, and what it's going to go back to is that initial blow where we came out slow.
Yeah,
and fell down, you know.
It was 3-0, correct, I believe?
Yeah.
It was 3, yeah.
And Cats just threw one away there.
So, you know, with that, to get back to one of your previous comments, so the 8th grader Linus Toward scores the goal. Maybe part of this is if you're 16, 17, 18, and you're playing against a 13 or a 14-year-old, physicality, and yes, within the confines of the rules, we're not telling anybody to play dirty, but, like, let him know that you're 17 and you're 40 pounds heavier than him and you're going to put him on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the, you know, and that's a big part of the pole game. You know, a big save by Wallach, I believe, as he stepped in on number 2, Maskovic. And it seems to me that when you have size, that's part of the game plan, and you apply it. So, so we'll see. Again, it's been toe-to-toe, but the 4-goal deficit now is nearly all accountable to the Cats coming out just a little bit back on their heels as Wallach is, you know, looking and kind of dices one sidearm up to what I believe is Gibson, who'll get the touch and set up, and the Cats are going to try to, you know, climb back in the possession column and maybe climb back into the score column too. Tanner Whips reached out and kind of reeled that one in from Stone as he's looking at the net. Doesn't see it.
Just bounced right into the goalie's stick there.
So here we go. Turnover with a save. 9-5 Cats, 5:20. Sabres coming up, and I know Stone was doing his best and did a great job of.
Once again, the Shakopee section not happy with that sequence of events.
Nope. And again, too, them ground balls, you know, and they weren't easy ground balls to pick up by any stretch. But you're seeing a little bit of there was a nice turnover.
That should be that's not a shot. That's a what?
Oh.
How was that a shot?
Yeah, that's clearly not.
That was a pass all the way. It was going directed at the corner of the field.
Yeah, we're kind of precluded from leaning out the window and booing, but we will we'll boo it in spirit because let's face it, we may be on the air for whomever wants to enjoy our broadcast, but we are not. We do hail from Eagan as a little shovel pass from maybe Whips gets out to Colbert. Colbert all the way up. Oh, Schultz could just not reel it in. And, you know, one could argue that had shot written all over it as well, but it clearly did not. So long pass from the goalie, maybe a little bit of a miscue. He hauled it in, and Schultz trying to defend up to the midline. And the Sabres will get us started here with 4:19 remaining in this third quarter. 9-5 Sabres.
Again, struggling to find the rhythm, right? Struggling to find the rhythm. We've demonstrated when we can get bodies on Shakopee, on the players, we can disrupt their shot and their kind of mitigate that. So just got to keep pressing here, boys. Just a little under 16 minutes left in the game.
You know, Max Meekin, who's defending right now and doing a nice job of keeping his gloves and stick on the guy. At the same time, you're not going to shake him, and I think that's important. You keep your eye on this little defensive exchange. Max Meekin will probably not lose a step to this guy. He's going to give him some leash here as he's got the two sidelines now, the back line and the sideline kind of helping out. But it would be very surprising if this guy's able to shake Meekin here, as he nearly does. But you can see how he finished as he was closing out in front of the net. Meekin got one last glove on him. Shakopee's going to maintain with 3:19. 1 minute has gone off the clock since we last checked. The score still 9-5 Sabres. time of possession tilting in the direction of Shakopee pretty handily right now, and that is part of their game plan, I'm sure.
Right, you can completely shift the way you approach the game. Like, hey guys, we've got this thing controlled. Okay.
Not sure.
It feels like they're more. Looks like that's going to blue. Good. Yeah, they're going to maybe slow things down a little bit. They're like, hey, we can just slow down and play a little catch, run around. Eagan's coming from behind here.
Yeah, and it's almost like the way we're kind of responding on the turf, it's almost like our footing is not real good. It might be just we're not quite used to the nuances of turf as Diffley comes out. Not really sure what they're calling there.
The player, there was a player, Kovu, was down on the field. I don't know if they called a stoppage of play for.
Looks like the Cats are going to maintain. So Wilson up top in the alley there by the 30-yard line, and we shall get started again.
Yeah, I mean we're coming off of the grass playing surface at Wildcat Stadium. Coming here. Nice looking turf field. It's clear it's maintained. It gets the requisite maintenance. It does play a little bit differently though. Balls move a little differently, faster in most cases.
Oh, close. Yeah, and that's just it. That's been the story of this game. Is just one little millimeter of lack of connection.
Yeah.
And that was probably the third time we've seen the shooter kind of pulled the trigger before he quite had the ball in his stick.
Just so it was. I think we got to keep doing that though. I think that's a recipe to put some balls in the net.
Now I'm going to guess timeout Shakopee with 1:56 to go in the third. It's 9-5 Sabres here at Vaughn Field. Lights becoming a little bit more noticeable as the sun sets, and the sky is overcast, but not with just your garden variety clouds. These look like they may have a little energy in them, and if it started to sprinkle or something, I don't know that I'd be surprised.
Yeah, it certainly could happen. It's a little bit of a cool night with the wind out there, and could get a few sprinkles here. But a fantastic facility here, Vaughn Field. We are at Shakopee West Middle School. This is I'm starting to think of the places we go around the conference, and I don't know, maybe Farmington's, but boy, this is a top-notch facility. This is fantastic. The running track, the condition the field is in, the press box, the bleachers, the socializing area behind the press box, a fabulous scoreboard and video screen. Just a top-notch facility here.
Taking care of you is our technical guy, Jesse. Get that score updated. I have clearly taken care of telling you what the score is, and hopefully you guys are believing us because we just now brought it up to parse on the screen itself. 9-5 Cats trailing the Shakopee Sabres, 1:56 remaining. Cats kind of had a little bit of a turnover, kind of hemmed in the ball in Shakopee's end, and they took themselves a timeout to kind of help relieve some pressure. And we'll see how things unfold here as we head out with just under 2 minutes remaining, quarter number 3. This game is clearly within reach, and a 4-goal lead is nothing, but right now it's a rhythm issue.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and right down to the connectivity of a rocket pass and things like that. And it's like, we need to make sure that we're getting the ball in the stick before we're pulling the trigger, and that's part of that rhythm issue.
Yeah, and we talked at the start of the telecast and towards the end of the game Monday. We talked about Monday against Lakeville North being the Wildcats' probably most complete game of the season. Didn't have that drought or that quarter where we kind of shut the valve off, and certainly not as sharp tonight. There hasn't been a complete shut off, but just right. You go through a season and you may have a game like this. It just you hope it's against a lesser opponent where you can mitigate it and still win the game. And there's plenty of time left, but the challenge now, I think, for the Cats is, as an athlete, you're on the field, you're in a funk, you know it. How do you snap out of it?
Precisely, and that comes with experience.
Mm-hmm.
You have to recall what you do. But, the passes aren't crisp. You see the recipients are having to, step laterally. They're not on a rope. They're a little bit lazy at different times. Some of the internal stuff, big save there. And we actually connected to Sorensen
Hey, that
inside.
was a nifty feed from Meakin, I believe, to Sorensen. And surprised the goalie made a big save.
Yeah, that was a big – exactly. So Meakin's up top again looking, and he'll go back. And again, too, it's like we're almost to the point now where we're going to have to press a little bit, and that's not what you want to do when things have been less than perfectly crisp, as Schultz from Meakin starts to set it up again. I'm looking at Meakin thinking he might just make a break for the crease, but he decided to send it behind the net to Colbert, who's operating back there. And again, how much is too much as far as trying to there's a ground ball, which looks like the Sabres have come up with. This is an odd man rush.
And he's got nothing. That's Ronnie. Yeah, no, we're not going to stop that. He picked up the ball and, ran 50 yards, and there wasn't a blue jersey within 10 to 15 to 20 yards of him.
No, and those are tough. We've been caught, not always an odd man situation, but we've seen guys take the midfield line. We've seen guys take the midfield line kind of unabated a couple of times, and I think that what you have to do now, clearly, if a defender steps up, you open up an outlet pass, but that sometimes is the chance you may have to take. Because if the guy decides to shoot just the same, you get in his grill and say, you're not going to do that again. So now we're down 10-5, 1.9. So what a opportunistic time as the Cats had a little bit of something going. And again, they press a little bit. They do a little too much. And ball hits the ground. And out of this massive 10-player scrum, time runs off in quarter number 3.
Yeah, wow.
Cats are down 5. You wind up getting a Shakopee player comes up with the ground ball and runs all the way down the field, shot and score.
And that, again, that was we've mentioned his name multiple times, Ronnie Gunter. You're not going to catch him, and I think that was his 3rd goal of the night. Again, most of them created by his speed and athleticism. It's tough to stop that. It's an unfortunate situation. So, boy, we're in a little bit of a pinch here. We're down by 5 goals, and you start to look, the players on this team have been a part of a lot of successful lacrosse teams, that whether it's varsity, JV, 9-10 prep team, 14A, 15A, 12, whatever. You don't recall a lot of games where you've been down by 5 goals going into the 4th quarter, and it's a new situation, and now you got to find a way to manage it. And I think if the Wildcats are to come back and tie or win this game, somebody's got to step up and make not one big play, but 2 or 3.
Well, and that's just it. So, okay, let's just take the win off the table for the moment. Let's try to climb back in this. However they climb back in this, the guys that contribute to us getting back in that game, these are the guys that you're going to have to look to motivate this team down the stretch, because we've clearly still got a section tournament ahead of us, and we've got peppered big games over the next 10 to 14 days. So as we get back into this, folks in the universe watching us live as we're getting ready to start quarter number 4, down by 5, 10-5 Sabres, pay special attention to who gets us back in this game.
Right, and we, like Ken said, we've got Benilde on Saturday, Rosemount on Tuesday, Eastview on Thursday, who is, by the way, I think is 6-3 or 5-3. We haven't beaten them in 5 years. And then Prior Lake the following Tuesday. So
Gibby with a tertiary win for the Cats.
And this is we've talked about emerging leaders and who can step forward, and we don't mean to single out or put pressure on people. But this is the time when your leaders and your big time scorers need to step up.
Yeah, probably. I would agree 100%. A little difficulty clearing, and this is where you get testy. I think play has stopped. Goalie interference, not exactly sure. I wasn't following that. My eyes were fixed up around the 30-yard line is where the ball was played. So Shakopee will get it again. They have the midfield line. They get the touch. And let's see if we can get a stop here as 4th quarter about a minute underway. Cats trailing 10-5 to the Shakopee Sabres here at Vaughn Field on this Thursday early match. The girls you could see behind the Shakopee goal, the Eagan girls warming up for their bout a little bit later on this evening. And there's a perfect opportunity where you see where, kind of an unforced error. But the Shakopee player actually made the turn there and maybe could have taken a shot. He opted for the pass, turned over. Wallach, the goaltender, takes the midfield line pass to Merwin, who takes it in. Doesn't have a lot. He's kind of in trouble down there. Not a lot of help at the moment. He'll take it back to Stone on kind of the short dump. But Stone now will set up as Merwin retreats into the defensive end. See if the Cats can grab one here and try to see what they can do. Whips with the shot. And just a nice opportunity for Wilson. He just could not pick it up. It almost rolled right into his stick. I'm not sure if the goalie even saw that one. It looked like almost all post. A nice job by Wilson to pick it off. And another
big save. He's been robbed twice. And there's a flag down. So let's go back to the goalie situation. An 8th grader is playing goal. We need to just knock some balls in the net and get him thinking and get ourselves back in this game. An 8th grader has kind of stymied us. And there's a lot of other things going on that have led to that. But, at some point when you've got a young goalie in there like that, he's vulnerable mentally, physically. This is varsity lacrosse, right? You're a 13-year-old, maybe a 14-year-old playing against 16, 17, and 18-year-olds. Got to, start knocking a few in, he's going to lose his confidence fast. We just haven't been able to do that. Our goals have been interspersed over the course of many minutes.
Looks like the Cats may have picked one off. That could have been Bucky to Meisinger, who's running out of real estate. He sees Wilson, who's got a rocket of a shot. And again, too,
save.
he held his ground. That might get out of bounds, and that would be helpful for the Cats. Actually was helpful for the Cats. The goalie stood his ground. It was a great shot. It was a rocket, but it was a nice sight line for the goalie, and he clearly made a save on us on that exchange. 9:20 remaining, 10-5 Sabres. Play a little slow to start here. I'm not exactly sure what the holdup is. Not sure if the referees. I don't recall the ball being turned over to Shakopee, but they appear to have possession. I'm not really sure. We have 2 guys on the sideline, so we missed a push or something over there.
Damien was just.
So Schultz's penalty just ended, and we're still in a man down. Sticks up, guys, and
it's Nick Mostrom again. I think that's his 3rd goal of the night. Point blank, top side. Understand they're in a man up.
So we're down 6, 11-5, 9:06 remaining. I think it's about time now, if you have some sort of final piece of strategizing, or if there's an application of a certain fundamental, now's the time. There's 9 minutes remaining. With a 6-goal lead, you can start to kind of play that possession game at this point. And the Cats need a goal here fairly quickly to kind of mitigate some of these recent shots and scores. And we'll see how we go. We're in the circle here. Pavic kind of held his own, kind of a clear dump back to yourself. And, again, the Sabres are gaining. They gain ground in a hurry. Yeah, it looks like Wallach kicked that to his right. Going to maintain. We have an uncovered guy back there. Dolney stepping up. Merwin's got his guy marked up. The defense is set. Looks like Raider out there as well. And here we go. Just under 9 minutes.
Boy, Shakopee has executed their game plan to a T. They've done everything they wanted to do. They've executed well. They've disrupted the flow of Eagan, and they've built themselves a 6-goal cushion as we get inside 8.5 minutes here. It's going to become increasingly difficult for Eagan to climb their way back into this game.
No, they need a stop here, and they need to get down and get a goal. and we'll take any. There could be a hold in there possibly, but we'll take any opportunity we can as that ball's gonna stay in play. Donley marks up against number 2 for the Sabres. And they're just back to the perimeter right now. So they're in no major hurry. They'll set up a good shot, but they are clearly not in a big hurry with 8 minutes remaining, up 11-5.
No, they can, again, we've mentioned this a couple times before on the broadcast this season, there's not a shot clock in high school, and like there is in the NCAA, so teams can, provided they keep moving in and out of the box, they can keep passing the ball around, spreading it around, move it across, play catch, take an occasional shot, and really, really wind some time down off the clock.
I would venture to say that it's pretty unlikely at this level that anybody was thinking that came off the bus carrying the blue team, that anybody was thinking that they were going to come in here and just, invoke all of their, will and et cetera. I think that there's just a combination of some big stops by the goaltender, some miscues, because the Cats looked kind of unusually kind of rough around the edges here in the early going, and we kind of spotted them a few goals before we started to try to, kind of slow things down. Meakin inside, and again, another perfect example, just getting 1 millisecond ahead of yourself as Whips was starting to turn his head to the goal. Meakin picks up a nice opportunistic ground ball.
Yeah, I bet there's probably been 4, 5, 6 incidents of that where if you just, like you said, a millimeter, a fraction of a second late, getting just how things happen. And if those connect, maybe it's a closer game right now.
Schultz hanging on to the ball, another big save. But earlier, like a second or two before his possession, as we got another opportunity by Gibson that goes wide. Now, see, how can that not be a shot?
When
one was like in the lights.
He was clearly coming around the goal, and that was a shooting motion.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
Was
it was within a foot or two of the post, So Sabres coming up, but again, down in that exchange, Meakin, we're getting our feet moving before we have full possession of the ball, and as you mentioned, 5 or 6. Not exactly sure what's happening here.
What was that call?
I don't know, but the fans in front of us are clearly not happy.
We need our executive assistant producer on away games here to give us a little color. He is sometimes provides that for us.
Right. Good defense and a nice turnover. Whips back to Wallach, and we're going to try to get this started here. 5:30 remaining. Cats down a half dozen. Gallus just off the money to Sorensen.
Another one.
Yep, and it's kind of been the tale of the night.
It has. Aaron, it really has. It's sort of the story of the game so far.
They're just not crisp. So I think at this point here, you can clearly see that there's going to be it's going to nearly be an act of Congress to get a shot that isn't like nice huge shooting lane, because with 5 minutes to go up 6, the issue doesn't have to be pushed.
No, and the longer the game has gone on, the more shots that Weston Brosem has been saving, his confidence grows, right? Can you score 6 goals in 4 minutes and 45 seconds? Of course you can. Another turnover. Hey, look, a lot of things are going on in this game. I think maybe when it comes down to it, means a lot more to Shakopee.
I think right now they're at that point where they clearly know that they can really put the pedal to the metal, and they're going to wind up probably having a pretty good shot of hanging on here. But if the Cats could get 2 quick ones, they could sure make it interesting, face-offs notwithstanding. But again, I would agree, and we've said it a few times. It's like that right there.
Oh,
perfect.
Another one.
Yeah. We have not seen this many minor miscues. And there's another one too. I mean, we're finding the open man. They just can't quite coordinate all the motions in the catching, turning, and firing. And that's been a big part of it, I think, tonight, as that ball is still on the ground.
And but it's afflicting everybody. It's not, it's not one or two people that are. It's just everybody's kind of, having some trouble tonight. And a shot sails wide. Maybe goalie might have gotten a stick on it.
And again, too, the way the refs have called a couple of these vis-a-vis shots, nothing's guaranteed as Wilson's looking for something. And time is really of the essence now as he finds
That's Jack Thompson.
Stone's looking. We're just at the 3-minute mark. 11-5 Sabres. Stone looking. Shot scored.
There's a goal.
11-6 Sabres. 3 minutes remaining in this contest. So,
it was a good offensive sequence, but within it there was some drop balls, some fumbled passes, and like you said, it's the story of the night right now. If you go back and watch the game film and the coaching staff is reviewing this, it's like, okay, there's some things we could have done better, but boy, how many times, how close, again, you connect on some of those. I'm thinking it would have been the third quarter, maybe. We had a ton of opportunities going to the west end of the stadium, just so close to connecting. Could have gotten the game within a goal or two, and would have been a different outcome.
Yeah, we're playing with a slight disadvantage in the faceoff circle, as it's really predictable. A little flip to himself, and possession Shakopee, although the Cats are battling for it, and they'll give it to Shakopee conceivably. We'll see. There's a flag down, so it's I'm going to try to seal this possibly on us here. Let's see what the call is.
Yeah, is it on?
Yeah, we're going to be man down, it looks like, from the looks of the possession or the personnel changes. So let's see who's going to take a knee over on the sideline. Whips is on the side for a short period of time, just under 3 minutes here. 11-6 Sabres. And again, I think, game plans may have been executed beautifully. The Cats tried to get it inside a number of times. It was a connection thing. Calling and someone doesn't pick up the phone is effectively what happened tonight, because I think they had the right idea. They were working it inside. Now your biggest enemy here is the clock. And
it really is. And Shakopee's at the point where they're just going to play catch. So, you talk about what Shakopee's, what they're trying to do is Sean Pollock, the head coach here at Shakopee, in his that's Ronnie Gunther, number 4, lethal shot, right? Number 4 goal of the night. He's telling his team, hey, we are capable of being in the upper quartile of the South Suburban Conference. We should be playing in the section championship game. We should be able to get to the state tournament, and he's been delivering that message to his team. And again, a breakout win against Lakeville South last week, a 6-goal lead right now, and looking like a win against Eagan tonight. His team's going to start believing, right? They're going to start believing in themselves, and they're going to start, coach said we could, maybe he's right. And mind you, they're in Section 2. They have Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, Chanhassen. They've got some big players. What the coach is going to walk away from tonight and say is, you just took down one of the big boys.
Yeah.
You can do it again in June, and I'm confident in you, and the players are going to start to believe that they can do it.
Yeah, and to that point, let's not take too much away from the Sabres when we harp on the miscues. You have to be an opportunist. If a team with enough tools like the Wildcats have, as they're kind of I'm surprised we didn't hear more from the another big save.
Yeah,
the
save
Shakopee
there.
contingent was a little quiet on that last turnover with just under 2 minutes here. But let's remember, you have to capitalize. And as the there's a shot in the score. It looks like Meakin from 20. Ben Willery makes it 12-7, 151 remaining in the game. But let's not kid ourselves here. While they're being opportunists with the miscues are still there. So, Cats got some retooling. heading into a big game. There's been a lot of weird finals in the last week or 10
Yeah.
days. So this might just be one of those weird finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be, it's a little bit of a shocker, right? I think most people in the community say, hey, it's going to be a closer game than past years, but yeah, Eagan's probably going to be, win by a little bit, right? And that's why you play the games. Hey, tonight, Ronnie Gunter showed us what he's capable of, why he's attracting some Division I attention. 4 goals, he dominated the game.
Clearly.
He had a great game. Shakopee's face-off guy, Nick Mostrom, easily winning 3/4 of the face-offs, would you say? Probably. Maybe not quite that much, maybe 2/3, 70%. But, again, also contributing offense. Number 11, Sam Hallett, 3-4 goals. These are the guys we talked about at the start of the telecast, and they delivered tonight. They stepped up. They played big time. And, yeah, you're absolutely right. We can't walk away and say it was just Eagan's miscues. Shakopee did some good stuff tonight.
Absolutely.
And they just sent a message at the South Suburban Conference, and they might have sent a little message to their Section 2 comrades as well. Like, hey, we're here. Don't forget about us.
Yeah, they're firing on all cylinders. I mean, they got the goaltending, they had the execution, and they had the take advantage of your opponent's deficiencies.
Well,
so
and here, as you look down, they get their next 3: Apple Valley, Farmington, Owatonna. Barring some craziness, they'll win those running away.
Yep.
Rosemount, again, if they play like this, they're going to win that game. And then Delano, Shakopee's 6-2. Shakopee could be 12-2 at the end of the season. It's feasible. They could be.
One last punch in the nose by the Shakopee Sabres with just over 30 seconds remaining. Really, really long possession as the gentleman who was in possession of the ball made his way around the right side of the Eagan goal, created enough space between himself and his marked up man, and took kind of a low shot. Probably didn't afford a ton of opportunity for the goalie to get down on that. He was in good position, but this is kind of a foregone conclusion, and probably has been for the last couple of minutes. So now it's a matter of let's get off this field with some composure. Let's get back on the bus, and let's get back to Eagan and start the process of figuring out how in a day's time we can get mentally ready, as I sense a hit coming here.
And, hey, I think that's, as we start thinking ahead to Saturday, when the schedule started the season, we're like, oh, my, there's a possibility we could be 9-0 going into that Benilde game, and they're going to be 9-0. Oh, my goodness. And, all right, we had a little stumble along the way at Eastridge. That's okay. Came back, can come with 2 losses. How in a day, in 2 hours of practice, do you make the corrections? And my concern right now is mental. It's more mental than anything right now. How do you mentally get ready to move past this game and get ready for Benilde on Saturday?
And that is exactly, that's the only thing that I think is on my mind right now. I mean, these boys do not need to go back to catch, pass, shoot, score 101. These boys need to say, guys, okay, listen, there is an occasion when things don't go your way, and you can't fix that. They can't return to that. What they need to do now is move forward.
Yeah.
It's about peaking at the right time. It's about, polishing up your physical attributes and skills, but it's also about maintaining the mental composure necessary to be ready for the section tournament.
Yeah, and this is now Saturday is now the biggest test of the year for Wildcats. Forget about the result that's going to be on the scoreboard on Saturday. How mentally ready are you? How do you compete? How are you prepared to come into that game? And what do you do is going to ultimately tell the tale for the balance of the season, because forget about the outcome on Saturday. It's going to be a big challenge. But what do you do in the 3 games after that? You're at a pivotal point in the season because section championship still within reach. Conference title still within reach. We have 1 loss. If we simply win our remaining 3 conference games, we're South Suburban Conference champions.
Yep.
All your goals for the season are still within reach, but mentally things can come undone.
Yep.
But you know what? This is a resilient team. They can learn from this. They could come back. It's foreseeable they could come back and run the table, right?
Well, and it's tough, too. When resiliency is one of your big attributes, you have to understand that you've had to climb out of a hole or two. So with that, Wildcats drop one tonight here at Vaughn Field, 13-7 to a tenacious and pretty qualified and shockingly, surprisingly good Shakopee team. This is Scott and Ken and Jesse. We're in the press box here at Vaughn Field, and we're going to get ready to hand it off to the girls and their fans. So, folks, we'll see you again on Saturday back at Wildcat Stadium, the friendly confines thereof, Benilde St. Margaret's in town. It's going to be a barn burner, folks. Thank you.